it would be more interesting to actually see the Joomla interface live, and I'm going to show you around while I'm talking about what's new and what you can look forward to with Joomla 4. I have set up a little server side where it's not installed yet, to show you how easy it is actually to install the new Joomla 4. So I hope you can see the installer right now. Laura, can you see the installer? Okay, perfect. So you just first select the language you want to use. Right now it is only just a few options. You set up your site name, and then these are just a few things to do. You just set your username. I always use SIW in my work, and the password also. Basically, you want to, if you do a test version, you don't have to really bother much about that. And you already go to the database setup. I have set up a database on my server, which is on the localhost, and I don't have the password for that. I just have it's like a test environment, so I don't have anything set up properly. And the database name is I have to look at it. I set up a database called Joomla 4 Fresh. And I go and install my Joomla. That's basically the only thing you need to do. So you're pretty much done. When you're done with the installation, usually you remove the installation folder. You don't need it anymore, and then you can just go and complete it on the admin. And that's all you have to do. I have set up a version that's already working with different things already set up. Okay, so you can see that you get a new user interface when you get to Joomla 4. So you have a new user interface for the backend, and a new user and a new template for the front end as well. When you get to the new login page, you can see that you have the login area, and you also have on the left an area where you can actually completely customize it. Here we have the name of the site, a few links for support. I even added a module with my personal content, and so it's completely configurable for you. So if you do a website for some company, you can have the company logo over there, and it's all managed through administrator modules. So we can just go in and log in. You're going to see that everything comes out quite smoothly. You do have different areas now. The focus is done on actually make it easier for the user. I think personally, I don't think it's making it easier for the developers or the administrators, but for the people who are just going to a website just for occasional articles, and creating of articles and stuff like that, it's much easier. So for example, you can just go in articles. If you click on the plus, you will go directly to create a new article. The same for categories, modules, and users, and all that. So if you click on article, for example, you get to the article section where you can do a new article. You can create a new article or just update old one. So it's a little easier to access. You have all the plugins that are tied up in the content in the editor. They are all under a same folder, so you don't have to look around, and you will have the editor always looking the same. And if you have more or less plugins that are tied up to the editor, they will add up to the content list here. So it's a little less messy than before. You do have you can toggle the menu actually. If you know your way around without having the names, you can just do that. So in your home dashboard, you have all that's concerning the site. You have a system area. You do have an update area. You can see that I'm on version behind. The beta one is not out yet. It's just development one right now. But when you go and see when the Joomla update is ready, you have a certain number of things on the screen that tell you if you can actually update without any worries, or less worries than you should have. Especially the focus is also made on the fact that you can pre-check extensions you already have installed and see if there's going to be an issue with the update on that. I still recommend that you go to the developer's website to make sure there is no issue with the update. And then you have the regular notices about what you do, about updating. You do have the menu sections, always the same. The components, pretty much the same as it's just the whole menu is actually now on the left side of the screen. And anticipate that may be something that they can be changed in the future. Users, same kind of menus you have for users, and you have the system area where you have to get used to that area because it's a little organized differently than it used to be. Now you have an install section, an update section, a manage section, and I must say I keep finding myself looking for stuff. For example, when you look at modules, you can be looking at the beginning of the words and you realize that, oh no, it's not module, it's site modules. So you can go and figure that out. But it's just a matter of getting used to the interface. It's not that big of a deal. Actually, this is a template that's the official template for Joomla 4, but I've seen on the web that other developers, even under the Joomla CMS at GitHub, are actually developing other templates. There's at least one already that's pretty well advanced. I wasn't able to install it because it was not ready for install, but it's a work in progress. Those templates now work on Bootstrap 4. Eventually, by the time Bootstrap 5 comes out, the product may switch to Bootstrap 5. The big difference with Bootstrap 5 is that you won't be using any jQuery. The JavaScript will be just pure JavaScript. The project is already shifting a little towards that, to actually get rid of the independence with jQuery 3, which is actually the jQuery version that's used right now, jQuery 3. And in terms of CSS, we work with CSS grids. That's The grids are the elements that I use to put all the elements on the page. So you can see it's a little different than what you used to, but it will eventually be much more productive, I think, than what we have with Joomla 3. But once again, you're going to have to get used to it. You have front end that's a little different. The new template is called Cassiopeia, if I say it correctly. And you can see it's also a Bootstrap 4 template using CSS grid. There's something that's a little different, a little improvement. Look, I'm going to look at my template, and actually, I want to show you the modules. The modules will have different wording in the positions that are used for the templates. It's a little more, it's a little easier to find your way around when you have a wording that's a little more explicit than just position 1, position 2, position 3. So that's what about the template. When you go, one thing I don't really like yet is that you keep up going to go back and forth to get your to go from one side to another. So you have your template, and it's pretty much looking the same as the Joomla 3 version. You have everything all create override, template descriptions, and etc. Here you have an area that's pretty interesting. When you have overrides, if your overrides are not up to date, it will tell you. So that if you need to switch things that have been modified in the core of Joomla, you will have the option to go and fix that from the interface. The modules is under system. Then you go to site modules. That's one of the things I'm telling you. It's a little difficult to get around, but I mean, once you get used to it, it's going to be fine. Everything that ties up to something that a regular user that's just updating a website is concerned with is not going to be on a first click basis. Everything that a user can manage to change directly, like articles, is going to be something that's going to be more prominent on the dashboard. Then everything that an administrator has to deal with is going to be a little harder to find. I suppose it's a purpose too. In terms of getting the modules to be a different place, well, you do have an area here where you still have easier access. I suspect that there are a lot of things that are going to be more easy to deal with in terms of where to put things where. Just because it's more modular, and the way that the core is being created, it will make it easier for switching things around in the interface, and already it will be much easier to actually create a simple version of the administration for your users, for your clients. Something interesting also is the new media manager, which has been improved in terms of functionality. Now you can have access to different functions. You can download images. You can edit images. The edition of images is quite simple, but it's going to be pretty interesting because it's built in a way where developers will be able to tie up their own plugins in there and give you more functionality, give you access to images that are in the cloud. A lot of different things like that are going to be much more convenient. You won't have to go to a different media manager to fix your images or to optimize them or stuff like that. It's going to be much more convenient to have everything under the same interface. You can see you can do already a few things here, like rotation, and there are a few things like that you can do out of the box. The things are presented like at the last Joomla camp in New York was the use of workflows. Now you can create your own workflows. There are still issues in the. I can see that you in the chat. There are still issues with performance, but this is really just because it's the early stages. But everything is going to be in pure JavaScript. So in terms of performance, we should see an improvement because it will use the internals of the browser you're using. So it will be much faster than if you use a jQuery library, for example, to create all the extra stuff. So you have the new workflows. You can create a new workflow instead of having just a few stages where you have. You can see in the way Joomla works right now is you have an unpublished state, you have published state, you have a trashed and an archived state. When you go from in the life of an article, for example. Now you can create things that are a little more involved for your clients. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. You can add a stage, for example. Well, when it's unpublished, I go to published, but I also want to have a stage where I want to say it's reviewed or not before it's actually published. So you can create all your stages, and then you tell when you go back and you go to transitions, you can tell, okay, for unpublish, for example, unpublish you can go from any stage to unpublished. If I want review is going to be okay, an article that is unpublished, and once is reviewed, we give it an action reviewed. And then, for example, when you go to publish, it can only go from a reviewed state to go to publish. So you can have pretty complicated workflow and tied up to your clients, and you don't have to use the standard way that has been used until now in Joomla. Note that if you migrate an old website, if you migrate an old website, you will get the default workflow. You will not be able to use a new workflow. It will stay the same, but it only applies to websites that are new in Joomla 4 to avoid too much confusion, and it would probably become a mess if we would allow a switch from an old to a new workflow. There probably some states that you would lose and stuff like that. So I guess it wouldn't be a good idea. One other thing we can find is in this new Joomla 4. This is the Alpha 12 version I'm using right now. It's the mail templates. There are a lot of things that send emails through the console, even when you see it. For example, when a user is created, you can send an email. Or here we do have, as a default, what is sent when you send a test email to test your connection. now we can say, okay, I have this template. The subject is with this key, and this body is this key. But you will be able to edit the body and actually put everything you want in there. I've seen versions also that this one doesn't have it, but it's actually an HTML editor, so you can put anything in there, and you have tags that are available to give the site name and the method, whatever that is available. And this is expandable, so that all extensions can add their own templates in there. For example, I have an extension called Combination Contacts, and you can send emails whenever a user or contact is changing his information. So the administrator can be sent an email. So that's the kind of email you would find in that environment. So eventually all extensions will have their templates that are available in this area. That's to the developers to actually decide to do that or not. There's no rule set that I've seen so far. This only applies to the emails that you can find already in the interface. So it's already very specific to an action, but there are no rules this time. You don't the creation of an email when you edit an article. I don't think it's available in the actual core Joomla right now. You have that for users. For example, when you create a new user, you can, when a user is created, you can have email sent to you. But I don't think it works for articles unless. Oh no. In the new workflow, you can do that. If you have send emails from one state to another, you can send emails to tell the administrator, okay, this, or to tell the people who are the next state. For example, somebody who is has the authority to publish articles, you can say, okay, this one is reviewed, so you can publish it. That's available in workflows. This template email section is only to specify the content of those emails. It doesn't specify the rules, as far as I understand it. You do have a difference also in the search environment. In Joomla 3, and you had the standard search and the smart search. The standard search has been removed from the interface. But don't fear not. If you still want to use the old standard search, you will be able to find it as an extension to download, like it's done with web links. It's going to be something that you can get outside the core of Joomla, but it's still considered core. It's just you will have to download it from the Joomla extensions directory. So this is about what you can find in the interface. There are other things I want to talk about. there are new security features in the interface. For example, for the developers, it's like for the support for prepared SQL statements. This is a way of securing SQL queries, pretty much. It's actually much faster to use prepared statements. I'm not going to go into details in that because it's kind of development intensive. You do have new things in the background like web services. You have an API you can tie it to. So now you can have access to the Joomla API, and from for example from an app on a mobile phone, you can create list or retrieve, update articles, and that's what you can do right now. It's mostly centered around the content for now. You have an improved command line interface. You have a cleaner code base. Some of the code is deprecated, is being removed. It uses specific functionality of PHP because right now you need to have PHP 7.2 to be able to run Joomla 4. So you will get all these advantages you get from having a more up-to-date language. You have a different dispatching system for events, but that's just for developers. Like I said earlier, jQuery is phased out. jQuery is phased out, and it will be replaced with pure JavaScript. And Laura is asking me if I have installed Latest Enhanced yet. No, I haven't. Actually, I was working on it just before this meetup. I have done it with jQuery Easy. Sorry. I can show you. I'm not satisfied with it yet, just because there are a few things that have changed, and I don't know how to handle that. I'm going to show you. I have my own set of fields, and some of them are not really looking great. For example, now you can have subsections of parameters. In here, see, it's all in a grid. So in this screen right now, you can see there are 3 columns, and all the work I've done is based on a column going, from top to bottom with 1 column. So now it's a little harder to read what is the help for what. I'm still debating on how to do that. So I do have this extension already ready, but I'm working on the other ones still. So like I said, you have a PHP 7.2 requirement. The browser that is going to be supported by Joomla 4 is going to be the version -2. So that's if you are in version 71 in Firefox, you can expect it to work from version. Or I wonder if this be version or if it's actually the year. Maybe it's 2 years behind. Maybe it's 2 years behind. It would make more sense. There will not be any support for Internet Explorer. Definitely not. You have to pretty much have Edge to be able to run Joomla 4. So I would suspect it works in Internet Explorer 11, but I wouldn't be so sure. One thing that's coming up, and I think that's going to be very useful for a lot of us, is going to be the auto updates of Joomla. It has advantages and disadvantages, especially if you're running a lot of extensions, but I'm sure they will have a way of dealing with these issues. coming up after Joomla is out, a drag and drop page builder. You will be able to create pages, articles, and pages with just drag and drop. So I guess it's more around the template area. You will have better accessibility guidelines. Right now, they make sure that that this version of Joomla is accessible fully. I forgot which requirements they are using. I forgot which it is, but WAC21, I forgot the name of it. So the accessibility is going to be improved, and also the API is going to be improved, so you'll be able to access a Joomla from apps and stuff like that without going through a web interface. So that's it for Joomla 4. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The beta was supposed to arrive. The beta was supposed to arrive last week, so hopefully it's gonna.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes. Yes.
Yes? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm flicking back and forth. Okay. Okay, Olivier. No, you're good. As long as the group can hear me. Olivier, thank you so much for presenting, and I'm going to switch. I'm going to hit